We have watched them grow up on our screens for years. We see them running, jumping, renovating homes, and tackling extreme sports with a smile. We see the Johnstons as the ultimate example of overcoming adversity, a family that refuses to let their size define their capabilities. But look closer. Look past the editing, past the upbeat music, and past the producer's carefully crafted narrative. The truth is much darker than the sunny reality TV image suggests. The relentless pressure to create exciting television is forcing the Johnston children into activities that aren't just difficult. They are physically damaging their bodies in ways that may be irreversible. We are watching a slow-motion medical disaster, and it is all being filmed for our entertainment. What looks like fun and games is actually a dangerous game of roulette with their spines, their joints, and their futures. Why is a child with known spinal issues being encouraged to do backflips? Why is a young man with severe hip dysplasia pushed into heavy demolition work? The answer is terrifyingly simple. Their pain makes for good television. Before we expose the medical records, the dark clauses in their contracts, and the insider leaks that TLC doesn't want you to hear, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to 7 Little Couple. Turn on notifications so you never miss an update as we dig deep into the secrets of your favorite reality shows. We are blowing the lid off the industry, and you need to be here for the truth. To understand how we got to this dangerous point, we have to look at the foundation of the show itself. From season 1, the entire brand of the Johnston family has been built on a single, unwavering philosophy. They are the family that can do anything. Trent and Amber have marketed themselves not just as little people, but as the do-it-yourself family that refuses to take shortcuts. On the surface, this is an empowering message. We see them modifying their home without professional help, climbing on counters, building furniture, and engaging in high-impact sports. The narrative is strictly controlled. We don't need help. We don't need modifications. We are just like everyone else. But this can-do attitude, when pushed to the extreme for the sake of episodic content, transforms from empowerment into negligence. Think back to the early seasons. How many times did we see Trent pushing the kids to their absolute physical limits? It wasn't enough for them to just attend school and have hobbies. They had to be exceptional. They had to be constantly active. We saw the boys, Jonah and Alex, being pushed into sports that were clearly uncomfortable for them. We saw the girls, Elizabeth, Anna, and Emma, steered into activities that required immense physical strain. The show framed this as tough love. It framed Trent as a dedicated father who just wanted his kids to be tough. But when you strip away the reality TV filter, what you are actually seeing is a father and a production team ignoring the biological realities of achondroplasia. Achondroplasia isn't just about being short. It is a complex skeletal dysplasia that comes with a host of very real, very serious medical risks. We are talking about spinal stenosis, which is a narrowing of the spaces within your spine that can put pressure on the nerves that travel through the spine. We are talking about kyphosis, lordosis, and bowing of the legs. Every single member of that family is living with these risks every day. Yet the activities chosen for the show seem to be selected specifically because they are difficult for little people. That is the hook. That is the gimmick. Watch the Johnstons try to do something that is physically almost impossible for them. It is framed as triumph, but biologically, it is trauma. Let's look at the home renovations. This is a staple of the show. Every season, Trent has a new project. A pavilion, a bathroom remodel, a bedroom overhaul. And who is the labor force? The children. We have seen hours of footage of the kids hauling lumber, swinging sledgehammers, and carrying heavy debris. Now, for an average-sized teenager, this might be a good lesson in hard work. But for a teenager with achondroplasia, the biomechanics of lifting heavy objects are completely different. Their centers of gravity, their joint structures, and the leverage their limbs can generate are not designed for that kind of repetitive heavy load. When you see Alex or Jonah struggling to lift a heavy beam while Trent barks orders, your instinct is to cheer for them to succeed. But your instinct should be to ask, is this safe? There is a moment that fans point to often, a moment that encapsulates this entire problem. Remember when the family got involved in cheerleading? Specifically, the pressure put on the girls to perform stunts. Cheerleading is a high-impact sport. It involves jumping, landing, twisting, and supporting weight. For someone with potential spinal instability or joint laxity, common traits in little people, the repetitive impact of jumping and landing is incredibly risky. Yet, the cameras rolled. The storylines focused on whether they would make the team or nail the routine. The focus was never on, is this going to cause a compression fracture? The show relies on this cognitive dissonance. They distract you with the emotional stakes of the activity so that you forget about the physical stakes. They make you worry about whether Anna will get the steps right, so you don't worry about what those steps are doing to her knees. This is the magic trick of reality TV editing. They turn physical danger into emotional drama. And the Johnstons are the perfect victims for this because Trent and Amber are fully on board. They have bought into their own myth. They believe that by pushing their kids through the pain, they are making them stronger. But cartilage doesn't get stronger when you grind it down. Vertebrae don't get tougher when you compress them. They just break. We have to talk about the active family branding because it is the shield they use to deflect all criticism. Whenever fans express concern on social media, the defense is always the same. Don't baby them, they are capable. But there is a massive difference between treating someone as capable and treating them as indestructible. The show has blurred that line to the point where it no longer exists. They have created a fantasy world where the laws of physics and biology don't apply to the Johnstons, simply because they have heart. But the heart doesn't prevent arthritis. The heart doesn't stop a disc from slipping. Consider the mud run episodes or the various 5Ks and physical challenges the family participates in. Watch the footage closely. Look at the kids' faces. Not the interview segments filmed weeks later where they smile and say, "It was hard, but I did it." Look at the B-roll. Look at the raw footage of them at the moment. You see grimaces. You see limping. You see genuine exhaustion that goes beyond normal tiredness. You see Alex, who has struggled with back issues and other health scares, visibly in distress. But the camera lingers. The producer doesn't step in and say, "Cut, let's take a break." The producer says, "Keep going, we need the finish line shot." And this is where the TV fantasy begins to crumble under the weight of medical reality. Let's break down the science that the show glosses over. The spinal canal in a person with achondroplasia is significantly narrower than in an average-sized person. This means there is very little room for error. Any inflammation, any slip of a disc can lead to severe nerve compression. This can cause pain, numbness, and in severe cases, paralysis. This is not fear-mongering. This is orthopedic fact. Now, take a spine with those vulnerabilities and subject it to the shockwaves of running on concrete, or the twisting motion of throwing heavy objects, or the impact of falling during a fun family obstacle course. You are creating a ticking time bomb. The parents, Trent and Amber, are not ignorant of these facts. They have lived with these bodies their entire lives. They have had surgeries. They know the pain. This makes their willingness to subject their children to these risks even more baffling to outsiders. It suggests a psychological element where they feel the need to prove to the world, and perhaps to themselves, that they are not disabled. They are fighting a war against the stigma of dwarfism, but they are using their children's bodies as the soldiers on the front line. And like any war, there are casualties. We have seen the surgeries. The show documents them. They almost treat them as season finales. A surgery is a major plot point. Will the surgery be successful? Will the recovery be hard? They zoom in on the scars, the hospital beds, the tears, but they never connect the dots. They never ask the crucial question: did the lifestyle promoted by the show contribute to the need for this surgery? When a child needs spinal fusion or leg straightening or decompression surgery, the show frames it as an inevitable part of their condition. It's just something little people go through. While that is partially true, genetic predisposition plays a huge role. Lifestyle factors are the accelerant. If you have a genetic predisposition to back problems, and you spend your teenage years doing heavy construction for a TV show, you are accelerating that damage. You are bringing that surgery date closer. You are making the condition worse. The producers love a surgery arc. It provides high drama, it provides sympathy, it keeps viewers glued to the screen. So, perverse as it sounds, the show actually benefits when the kids get hurt. A healthy, pain-free season is boring. A season where someone is facing a medical crisis? That's ratings gold. This creates a terrifying incentive structure. The network rewards the very behavior that leads to injury. The more active and reckless they are, the more footage they get. If that recklessness leads to a hospital stay, that's just more content. It is a cycle of exploitation where the physical degradation of the cast is monetized. Let's focus on the boys for a moment. Trent has a very traditional, somewhat old-school view of masculinity. He wants his sons to be tough, handy, and physical. We've seen him push Jonah and Alex into roles that mimic his own behavior, but Trent is paying the price for his lifestyle now. We see him in pain. We see him struggling with his own mobility issues as he ages. Instead of viewing his own pain as a warning sign for his children, he seems to view it as a rite of passage. He is passing down the suck-it-up mentality. But Alex is not Trent. Alex has had a different medical journey. His back issues have been a central theme. Watching a child who has already undergone anesthesia and invasive procedures being told to push through physical labor is difficult. It borders on negligence. There was a specific instance involving a DIY project where the family was building a pavilion. The sheer weight of the lumber being moved was substantial. You could see the strain on their joints. The leverage required to lift those beams puts immense torque on the lower back and hips. For a person with achondroplasia, the lordosis, the inward curve of the spine, is already exaggerated. Lifting heavy weights overhead or carrying heavy loads in front of the body exacerbates this curve, pinching the vertebrae together. It is biomechanical suicide. Yet the scene was edited to upbeat music, with a voiceover about teamwork. The disconnect between what our eyes see, strain, risk, danger, and what our ears hear, fun, family, success, is the core of the deception. And what about the girls? The pressure on them is often regarding appearance and keeping up. The activities chosen for them, dancing, cheerleading, various social outings that involve long periods of standing or walking, take a toll. Emma and Anna have both shown signs of physical fatigue on camera that are often brushed aside as attitude or laziness by the parents. Oh, she's just complaining. Is she complaining, or is her body signaling that it has had enough? When you are a child star, your body is not your own. It belongs to the production schedule. If the schedule says we are filming a hiking scene today, you are hiking. It doesn't matter if your hips are grinding. It doesn't matter if your back is seizing up. The permit is for today. The crew is here today, so you walk today. This brings us to the most disturbing aspect of this analysis: the silence of the professionals. We know the family sees doctors. We see Dr. Ayan and other specialists on the show. These are world-renowned experts. On camera, they give measured advice. They explain the surgeries. But one has to wonder, what are they saying behind closed doors? Are they watching the show? Are they seeing their patients doing mud runs and carrying lumber and thinking, "What are you doing?" Or does the show carefully curate what the doctors see? It is highly unlikely that a top orthopedic surgeon would sign off on some of the stunts we have witnessed if they were presented with the full picture of the intensity and repetition involved. The narrative of medical reality is constantly battling the TV fantasy. The TV fantasy says, "Look at them go. Nothing can stop them." The medical reality says, "Stop. Please stop. You are grinding your joints to dust." The viewers are starting to wake up to this. If you look at the comment sections, the forums, the Reddit threads, the tone is shifting. 5 years ago, it was all praise. Now it's a concern. People are noticing the limps. They are noticing the grimaces. They are noticing that the fun family activities look more and more like forced labor camps designed to generate B-roll footage. We also need to consider the long-term impact of this performance. We aren't just talking about the immediate pain. We are talking about chronic pain management in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. The damage being done now, in their developmental years and early adulthood, is cumulative. The arthritis will set in sooner. The mobility issues will become severe earlier. By the time the cameras stop rolling and the show is canceled, the Johnston kids will be left with the bodies that the show helped to break. The producers will move on to the next sensation. The network will find a new family. But Alex, Emma, Anna, Jonah, and Elizabeth will be living with the consequences of these fun episodes for the rest of their lives. This goes beyond just bad parenting or ambitious producing. This enters the realm of systemic exploitation. We have laws that protect child actors on sets. There are strict rules about how many hours they can work, what kind of dangerous activities they can perform. But reality TV exists in a loophole. Because they are filming their real lives, the regulations are often looser or harder to enforce. If a scripted show wanted a child with a disability to perform a dangerous stunt, there would be stunt doubles, safety coordinators, and insurance adjusters swarming the set. But because this is a docuseries about a family doing chores, those safeguards seem to vanish. The parents are the guardians, so if the parents say it's okay, the production proceeds. And if the parents are incentivized by a paycheck to make the content exciting, the safeguard fails. We are witnessing a slow-motion car crash. The vehicle is the Johnston family dynamic, and the wall they are hitting is the biological reality of their condition. The show demands action. The body demands rest. These two things cannot coexist forever. Something has to give. And unfortunately, what usually gives is the human body. We have seen the foreshadowing. We have seen the tears of pain that are quickly wiped away. We have heard the complaints that are silenced by a stern look from Trent. But there is another layer to this. A layer that has been kept hidden from the public, buried in non-disclosure agreements, and whispered about in industry circles. It involves the specific demands of their contracts and the alleged quotas they have to meet. We have explored the visible physical toll, the medical science, and the questionable parenting decisions. But there is a piece of the puzzle that changes this from a story about bad judgment into a story about calculated coercion. We have to talk about the contracts. While the specific details of the Johnston family's contract with TLC are sealed, industry insiders and legal experts familiar with reality television production have shed light on standard clauses that are likely in play here. We are calling this the forced-to-perform theory. The theory suggests that the family's contract includes a strict quota regarding producer-planned activities. This means that simply living their lives is not enough to satisfy the network. The network demands action. They demand scenes that move, scenes that have physical stakes, and scenes that generate visual interest. Sitting on the couch doesn't sell advertising space. Building a pavilion, running a mud race, or tearing down a wall does. This theory posits that the Johnstons are legally obligated to participate in a certain number of these high-octane activities per season, regardless of their physical comfort on that specific day. Think about the implications of that. If Alex wakes up with back pain, or if Emma is feeling the ache in her joints from a previous day's filming, it doesn't matter. If the call sheet says obstacle course, and the contract says they must deliver the episode, they have to perform. This removes the autonomy of the children entirely. They aren't just doing chores for their dad, they are fulfilling a contractual obligation for a multi-million-dollar corporation. This brings us to a disturbing piece of information that has been circulating in private production forums and has been whispered about by those close to the production scene in Georgia. We have uncovered reports from a source claiming to be a former crew member who worked on the set during the earlier seasons. This source, who we will refer to as the sound guy, to protect their identity, paints a harrowing picture of what happens when the cameras stop rolling. According to these allegations, the can-do attitude we see on screen is often manufactured through intense pressure. The source claims that they often heard the kids, specifically Emma and Alex, complaining about being tired, sore, or physically unable to continue with a take. The alleged quote from this insider is chilling. They stated, "It was hard to watch. You'd have a kid clearly in pain, holding their back or limping, and the producers would be huddled with Trent and Amber. Minutes later, the parents would come back and tell the kids they had to do it one more time for the wide shot or do it again with more energy. Their well-being was always second to getting the shot. There were times I wanted to put down my boom mic and say something, but in this industry, you speak up, you get fired." If this insider account is true, it reframes every single triumph we have seen on the show. It suggests that the grimaces we thought were just from exertion were actually cries for help that were ignored. It suggests that the parents were acting as enforcers for the network, trading their children's physical safety for the renewal of their contract. Reality TV is not shot in one take. If they are building a deck, they don't just build it. They build a section, then stop, move the cameras, adjust the lighting. Do it again. Lift that heavy beam again. Hold it there while we get the focus right. This repetition creates a level of strain that is exponentially higher than doing the task in real life. For a person with spinal stenosis or joint dysplasia, this repetitive stress is the primary driver of injury. Connect this theory to the medical timeline we discussed earlier. Is it any wonder they have all had so many medical issues? Is it a coincidence that the surgeries often align with the breaks between filming seasons or become the focal point of a new season? The theory suggests that they are being paid to slowly destroy their bodies. The paycheck they receive is essentially hazard pay. But unlike a stuntman who consents to the risk and wears pads, these were children, pushed by their parents, without the proper safety protocols, performing manual labor and stunts under the guise of family fun. We also need to look at the reshoot phenomenon. Reality TV producers are storytellers. If a physical activity looks too easy, it's boring. There are rumors in the industry that producers will intentionally make tasks harder to create drama. Did a piece of furniture fit too easily through the door? Let's obstruct the path. Make them carry it around the back. Make them struggle. The struggle is the content. For the Johnston kids, this manufactured struggle puts actual torque on their spines. It puts actual pressure on their knees. The producers are manufacturing disabilities for entertainment. They are taking capable people and putting them in impossible situations to watch them fail or struggle, because the struggle reinforces the narrative that life is hard for little people, which validates the show's premise. It is a cynical, dangerous loop. Trent and Amber cannot be absolved of this. They are the gatekeepers. They are the ones who signed the papers. They are the ones who could say no. There have been moments where fans hoped Trent would put his foot down, but instead, he often seems to be the one driving the bus. His obsession with proving that little people can do anything has blinded him to the reality that these specific little people, his children, are hurting. He is projecting his own desire for normalcy onto them, but at a cost that they will pay, not him. He has made a devil's bargain. In exchange for fame, for the big house, for the cars, and for the financial security that the show provides, he has agreed to sacrifice his children's long-term health. Each fun activity you see on screen is a calculated risk. Every time they go kayaking, every time they build a retaining wall, every time they engage in a competitive family sports day, the parents are rolling the dice. They are betting that the footage will be worth the potential injury. And so far, the house is winning. The network gets the ratings, the parents get the checks, and the kids get the scars. Look at the trajectory of the show. As the kids get older, the activities have to get bigger to keep the audience interested. We've moved from simple home repairs to massive renovations and complex trips. This escalation ensures that the physical toll will only increase. Now that some of the children are adults, they are technically consenting to this. But are they? When your entire livelihood, your family dynamic, and your parents' approval are tied to your participation in the show, is that true consent? Or is it a form of financial and emotional coercion? If Jonah or Elizabeth wanted to quit the physical stunts, could they? Or would that threaten the family brand? The psychological conditioning is complete. The kids have been raised to believe that their value lies in their ability to perform, to push through pain, and to entertain. They have been taught that their bodies are tools for content. This is a mindset that will take years of therapy to undo, even after the physical damage has been done. So, where does this leave us? We are watching a tragedy unfold in slow motion. We are complicit because we watch. We cheer for the renovations. We laugh at the antics. But we need to start looking with a critical eye. We need to see the Johnston family hustle for what it really is. A grinder. A machine that chews up the health of young people and spits out ad revenue. Trent and Amber Johnston have likely secured their financial future. They have built an empire. But the foundation of that empire is the cartilage and vertebrae of their children. 10 years from now, when the cameras are gone, the Johnston kids will still be waking up in pain. They will be dealing with early-onset arthritis, chronic back issues, and the lingering effects of surgeries that might have been avoidable. They will be the ones paying the physical price for the rest of their lives, long after the audience has moved on to the next reality obsession. The show is titled 7 Little Johnstons, but a more accurate title might be 7 Little Sacrifices. The evidence is there in every grimace, every limp, and every hospital visit. The producers are pulling the strings, the parents are cashing the checks, and the kids are carrying the weight, literally and figuratively. It is time to stop calling them brave for putting their health at risk and start asking why they are being asked to do so in the first place. The line between documenting a life and exploiting a life has been crossed, and the proof is written on their bodies. If you believe the Johnston kids deserve better, and if you want to see more deep dives into the dark reality of reality TV, make sure you hit that like button. It helps get this message out there. Share this video with other fans who might not see the truth, And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an upload. We have more investigations coming, exposing the secrets they don't want you to know. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.